Guys, welcome back to the Mary Boozer's RC channel. Today we have a beautiful Great Plains PT19 here on the bench for you. Papa's been assembling this all week, and this is the ARF. So we call it an assembly because you guys get mad at us when we call it a build.
So we did get it from Tower Hobbies.
Yep, Tower Hobbies.
But it's still owned by Horizon.
Yes.
And yeah, it's great. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We had an incident with a timber, as you can see in the background, and I thought, what would be a better power system on this little airplane than that turbo timber power system? So what we have done is migrated the parts from that turbo timber over into this airplane.
But that's kind of our forte.
Right.
That's what we want to show you guys, is how to convert something like that you might have crashed over to something like this and still get the performance.
And this is a great model to do this on also because this model is sub $200.
Well, and they're, you know, again, I mean, I know everybody wants me to bash one of these things, say, oh, how poor it is. Quality out of the box is fantastic. Mm-hmm. The instruction booklet that came with it is very detailed. I mean, you can't ask for any more detail than what's in here. I might have changed one or two things about just things that I like to do specifically over a period of time, but
or like
everything,
the motor mount didn't
beautiful
fit.
Instruction booklet. I can't tell you anything. I mean, it's multi-page, step-by-step pictures, the whole thing. What else do you want, guys? But yeah. So let's tell them about the size of the airplane. The airplane is a 56.5-inch wingspan.
Yep.
The length is 46.2. The size, as far as a two-stroke engine, would be
like a 46, yeah.
46 two-stroke. So it's what we reference as a 40-stroke. Two-stroke airplane. That's the way I learned how to do it.
And a guy that has a turbo timber, I mean, I've got the fuse here from where we had ours. I mean, it's almost the same size airplane as your turbo timber. Of course, the nose is knocked off of it. So, I mean, it really is the perfect fit for this, size-wise. If you have one of those at home.
Now, I said how detailed this plane is. It does come with both instructions to do either electric or gas. It does come with the gas tank already installed. I mean, even the clunk and everything is installed in the in the tank, guys. I mean, this is things that you had to do in the day. You had to go out there and buy a tank and install all of it. That's already all done. The engine mount is in there. I had to go find an engine mount. How detailed can you get with these things? But we will cut in a shot of the layout of the airplane and the parts and pieces. The covering is immaculate. It didn't even have a wrinkle in it.
Until I dropped it.
Well, out of the box, there's usually some kind of temperature change that comes along and will affect I'm going to call it monocoat. You guys can call whatever.
It might be Ultra Coat or Duracoat or however.
It even gave you instructions if you've never worked with it before. I mean, this is something I want to show. It gave you instruction of how to take the wrinkles out with your iron and your heat gun. I mean, you're going to have if you go to Balsa Plains, you're going to have a heat iron and a heat gun. So, get ready if you haven't done this before, but look what you get if you were to go down that road. So we cut in that, the details of all the parts and pieces. Wonderful. The graphics are wonderful in the thing.
It does come with a sticker sheet. These don't come pre-applied. You do stick them on there. The tail is already done. But the 44s and the stars on the wings you will have to put on yourself. No big deal. But that's about all there is to any of the covering parts.
I mean, but the next, I'm going to flip over here so we know what we're looking at.
So we'll put up on the screen right now. This is the electronic parts that we used in this airplane.
Right.
Now, the servos you had just in an old box.
I bought an airplane and I got an old radio with it, which was the old radio, but I wasn't afraid of the servos.
Right, they're JR, right?
JR radios. I mean, they're standard, what we call a standard. They're nothing high torque, they're
No,
just
they're
the
just
old
old
standard, regular,
servos.
standard servos, and there's only
4.
I mean, you don't have any retraction, you don't have any flaps, so you're going to have the basic 4-channel radio.
Right. And then, like we said, the motor and the spinner are off of the E-Flight turbo timber, and so is the ESC.
Well, now we didn't use the spinner.
Well, we used the nut. The prop
Well,
nut
I really didn't do that either. I had an existing one
that fit.
that fit.
Now, they could use the one that was
They could use that.
You
but,
just opted for a little bit bigger
But it
one.
would come out with a longer nut where it attaches to the spinner, and I elected not to do that. I just.
But if you wanted to use it, you could.
Yeah.
We had this one that
To
looks
save
prettier.
cost, you could put the 3-blade prop on it, and then this plane would
Right.
fly real great if you wasn't just a precise guy.
Right. Now, we wanted to use the 2-blade wood prop on the front of it. It's an 11/8.
11/8.
11/8 wood prop. It fit right on the.
Then there's a lot of other props. You could probably use a 10/6, 11, somewhere in that world. I'm going to guess that's a. I kind of do this by what size that would have been on a 46 2-stroke engine, which flew a lot of them. The basic prop for the day on a 2-stroke motor would have been a 10/6, but now just depends on how much pull you want, how much speed you want. I really believe that
I think it's going to go.
We're going to go. Well, we tested it on the bench, guys.
And it's got
lots
some
of
bull.
pull. So, but we're using the AR637T.
Yes, receiver. So
Smart
we do
receiver.
have safe, AS3X. Are all optional if you would like to use them. You never have to. You can always just bind that receiver as just a standard receiver and not set any of that up, and it's just a standard receiver. But if you want the option, you can also program safe or AS3X. We have AS3X set up on a switch to where we can turn it on and off.
Now, I did show the wire harness because I elected to only use one port for the ailerons,
Yes.
and that uses one wire harness.
Now, being that we have a 6-channel receiver, if you wanted to do flaperons, or you wanted to have 2 channels for the ailerons, you could always put one in the aileron and one on auxiliary. He just elected to just go for plain old Jane ailerons.
The
on a
old
wire
way to
harness.
do it. You know, we're not going to have flaps or any of that stuff. So here we go with that.
Right.
I think the rest of I had.
Battery straps,
You
does
know,
it come with any?
I
think you had to add
no, it comes with
It
that.
comes with
it comes
okay.
it comes with that and a thing to put the battery in.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it comes with all that.
So that's kind of the part list of what you guys would have to buy additional on top of this.
Other
is
than
this
the battery.
picture here.
And it
Lori
said-
could bump it back up for a second.
And it said to use 2 extensions, but now the servos that came, the old servos were kind of had a little bit longer extension, so it came out that I didn't need the 2
It kind
extensions.
of depends on what servo and link servo you guys get. So the manual says to use extensions, but we were like, pull them out of there. We don't need 15
So
feet
be
of board.
prepared that you might have to have some extensions to extend the ailerons into the fuse.
Right.
I can't tell you. It depends on
It
what
depends
your
on when you go
servos
to
are
assemble
and the
it.
length of the thing.
Right.
So anyway, that's that motor. We'll get into that in a minute. But I've got the motor laying out there.
Well, like I said,
that-
it's a turbo
that
timber
airplane.
motor. Yeah.
It's another.
Good, go on to the next one. So this is you cutting out the holes from the look of it.
Right. Okay. So be prepared on all of the servo holes, like on the wings, that it depends on what servo you have, whether it fits or not. Now, here we go again, guys. It all depends on your servo. So be prepared that you may have, all I had to do is use an X-Acto knife. We've got it in there with a ruler. We'll put that shot in there too. But just, it was it's not like you have to, all you had to have is an X-Acto knife.
Yeah.
In a little time and you're there.
So all these different servos, guys, whatever brand you're going to use, that's the fun thing about an ARF. If you're a Futaba guy, if you're a Spectrum guy, whatever you are, you can buy the servo you want, but you're going to have to make that servo fit the hole. You might luck out and it fit right off the bat.
Yeah,
but
well, if you use the smaller
like the 32 gram,
right,
digital,
right.
yeah.
You could probably not have to cut the hole out. So anyway, just so you know that, guys, it's here we go again. It's something that you have to do on a wood plane. But so far, all I've had to have right now is a
X-Acto knife and a little time. Yeah. He's just
now what I'm showing you here is, and if you guys get into this, it does come with the rods pretty much close to the length that you need. I mean, for the ailerons, you don't have to have a rod that long. They come out with one pretty close. What you're going to do is you're going to mount that servo. Then you're going to get your servo checker and you're going to put it in neutral, or in the neutral position. Of course, you're going to mount the horn, and always mount the horn right over the hinge line. That's another basic thing that you learn a long time. And then the thing is you don't have to use a Z-bend. This is the connector twist on.
Right.
Then you go up there and you look at your hole and you make it, and you put an L in it, and it comes with a little attachment there. So it's very easy to put these together. So anyway, we'll kind of cut that shot in there where I put the servo in there, and there's another shot of it after
so
I've
we
got
might have had both of those just kind of mixed together.
Yeah, we'll
this
have
is our
two
first
shots
time doing this, guys.
Well, I mean,
so
we want to show you. We've been asked by a lot of you guys to do this and show us what we're doing here and how to do this. So the best thing we can do is talk about it, but show you some photos after I get through doing it. So that's what we're going to cut it in there with.
It's too hard with the balsa plane now, what we found, to try and video all this, because this took you 2 days to put it together.
Yeah, so
the video would be 3 hours long, and nobody's going to sit there and watch that.
Now the next shot is actually of me putting after I've got the ailerons all put in the wings.
Okay.
And I run and it does come with string in the wing. So when you put your aileron extension wire, you take the string out, tie it together, and it pulls it to the inside. You do that, and then it recommends to put this together. There's a spar on the inside of the wing that puts the dihedral in and everything, and it recommends to put it together with 30-minute epoxy. Now I didn't do that, but if this is one of your first airplanes to put together, do not use 5-minute epoxy the first time. You want to use, and I do recommend epoxy, because I do believe that epoxy is the strongest glue you can use when you're putting these wings together. But if this is one of your first builds, make sure you use 30-minute epoxy. That gives you a little bit more time to do things that you're not prepared to do, and if you happen to get something wrong, you can take it back apart.
5-minute, man. You
better know what you're
5
doing,
minutes, and then it's
and
stuck.
you better. But I did that. But like I say, I've done quite a few of these, and surely this is another one of those things that you've got to do before you ever glue anything. You dry fit it and make sure of the fit first. So anyway, 30-minute epoxy. You need some clamps to clamp it together with, and some blue tape
and some alcohol.
Oh yeah, always have your isopropyl alcohol, because that will take your overrun of your epoxy off of your aircraft. Then after you do that and you clamp it together, you put it over to the side and let it dry, and then you go into the next thing. And I show the tape on the bottom. The tape is where you actually clamp it together if you have somewhere to clamp it together. But the tape, you pull that wing, you put tape on one side, and then you pull it real tight, and it actually will pull that together really tight. So, and I'll show that in the picture of where I've used that blue tape. So there's another thing. I think there's several photos. The next thing that came along, we start on the fuse, and it recommends that if you're going to use an electric motor, then there will be vents in the back that creates an airflow through the back of the aircraft. So you have to you cut the covering out of these here. That way, it's just like any electric airplane. You're letting that airflow through your plane and cooling it off. So it's very simple. X-Acto knife again. I would say that on the X-Acto knife that you have a good sharp blade. will help you there. But that's basically a very easy thing to do. Nothing hard. I mean, what I'm trying to get over to you guys, this is not hard, it's just time consuming.
Right.
But
Take your time.
But it's well worth it after the fact. Now the next thing that was in the kit was how to install what I call tail feathers.
Right.
And every one of these kits normally will have a piece that's back here. They keep to keep it straight when they're building it, they put a wood block back here and you cut that wood block out to clear so you can slide this up in there. So, but the big thing on the tail feathers, the horizontal and vertical stabilizers, that's what you want to call them, is to make sure, and most of these manufacturers have this done, but you always want to check this, is make sure that this is level and there's no droop either way and you compare that
to the wing
here and wing here, and you see it, and of course you can see if it's drooping on one side. So you can take a level or whatever you want to do, but normally all I do is look, I dry fit it first, make sure I know what I'm doing or how I want to do it, and make sure if the tail wheel has to be this, you have to make sure that the tail wheel is installed in the rudder before you ever put this on. So that's all in the instructions. But if you happen to put this on and forget the tail wheel, guess what? No. So read your instructions, dry fit it first, and then go to your next step. But basically, I used epoxy here again. Don't be chinchy, but if you get too much of it, then you'll make a big mess. There's just enough, and then there's not enough. You'll get there with time. But
one thing I would like to also say, the hinges are all in out of the box.
Yes, and another thing I want to do, and it does mention it, the first thing it mentions in the instruction, is make sure you test them, because they could make an error. So okay, guys, when you get these out of the box and the hinges have already been installed, make sure you do a test on them. Pull every one of them hard.
But a lot of guys always ask me that, and I wanted to make sure we mentioned it right now, that the hinges on this airplane are all pre-installed. You do not have to glue anything on.
Yeah, and if they're not installed, they've already did all the hard part for you. So if you ever, we used to call it a woodpecker, and you had to sit there and you cut that in there, and you'd have to dig it out, and that's not easy. But all that's done for you. And if they're not done for you, they're pretty well, you just stick them in there, and you're taking a thin CA glue and making sure that both hinges are wet. And they're flex hinges, and I've never seen one of them break. But anyway, you get that all together, let it set, and you 30-minute epoxy, then you pretty much go to, and make sure you wipe everything down with a Pro-Pick alcohol and make sure you have a nice clean model back here. Next step was to go to the electric motor. Now, most of these airplanes are set up for a certain motor. This one, since it was a
Great Plains,
and it comes from Tower Hobby, their big motor is a rimfire. So they suggest a certain rimfire motor, which we always say, what they suggest is probably will work great. But we had something, we want to use something else.
This is paid for.
But, okay, so any of these kits mostly will have a box that will extend the nose, because electric motor doesn't take up as much room as a gas motor. So I built a little very simple box that comes, put it together, and it bolts right straight to the next one. It shows you how to put your bolts in, and it bolts to the engine firewall. Really easy, and I'm showing you, there's a picture of me drilling some holes in it, So keep on going, and some more pictures of me putting that on there. Now, since this motor was mounted a little bit weird in this airplane, normally the motor has the mounting plate on the back of the motor.
Right.
For some reason, in the way the engineers did this one, they had the mounting plate on the front of the motor, And I kind of looked at it and wondered if I could take the shaft apart, and I kind of took it apart, and then I started playing with it, and I thought, nah, I don't want to do this. So I put it all back together, and I decided, and you'll see it in the pictures, that I did use the mount from the front of the motor. On any of your electric motor installations, you will have to have spacers to get the proper spacing between the motor and the front of the cowling to clear it. So what I recommend, and I was going to get them out.
There's a picture.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Oops.
I was going to get them out, but I bought some nylon spacers on Amazon, and
we'll put the picture
we'll
up
put
right
them
now.
in there. But I would truly recommend, if you're going to do this a lot, you need to have some spacers. Some of the kits come with spacers, some of them doesn't. But if you do have them, now the only other problem you will always run into on this is this: you're going to bolt this motor to that firewall. So normally I go down to my local hardware store and measure the bolts and get me 4 bolts to put this in there, because it's really unusual if you always have the correct bolts. First, you won't have the right size of bolts. Next thing, you won't have the right length. So if it's really easy, just run down to the local hardware store and get those. But the spacers that I have in here are different lengths. So it's not that difficult to mount these things to that firewall.
Now, if they would have gone with the rimfire, they wouldn't have had
probably the rimfire would
go right on
straight up.
But we're trying to show you that you can put other stuff on the front of these.
Very easy to do this. If you start and you ever do one, it's like, duh. I mean, it's like you got the idea. There's many ways to do this, but anyway.
I think that we missed. So this was how the original, that was how you were mounting it originally. So the picture we're going to put up on the screen, the original mount for the cowling was to go in from the back side where you wouldn't have seen screws on the outside.
Right. And I did that. I did that, and then after I tried to start, I just thought it was way too hard.
You did it, and then you couldn't get it centered, and it kept rubbing. And so what he ended up doing is what he does on all of them.
All of them.
And he just put 2 screws on both sides of the cowling.
And made sure that it's a lot easier to do that than it was to do. The good idea here, I mean, if you had the rimfire motor and put that in there, probably a pretty good idea.
Perfect.
But I elected to do the old 2 screws on each side, and it's...
So this is something that we did deviate from...
Well, it does say in the instructions both ways. You could do it either way. You could do it either way. I mean, I'm going to say the instructions give you that option.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, anyway.
Next.
You know, guys, that out of all this kit, I want to get this over to you. What takes the most time and the most thought is what we just got through doing. And you got to get that right to clear that prop, and you got to get it mounted solid, because well, guys, it's anything. I mean, it's sitting out there whirling around. If you prop it exactly balanced, it sits there and can loosen off. And I did also use some blue on all of my stuff out there to make sure the bolts don't come off. You use your Loctite on your stuff out there. Now, since we were using a wood prop, now this
old wood prop.
I say this on any airplane, you should look and balance your props. Now, if you need to buy you a prop balancer, and you know you can get them from anywhere. The one I have, I've had that thing for.
They're not very expensive.
No, not very expensive. I'll show that I'll show you a prop balancer in this video where I balance this prop. All it is it's a magnet. You're putting it in there, and it's got the least let of drag, and that prop is going to fall to the heavy side of the whatever set.
We do have a video on how to balance a prop. If you want to go back and look, we actually have a video on this.
Sandpaper,
whatever.
The heavy side, you're going to sand it off on the back side of your prop until that prop comes up. And you can twirl it, and it comes back and sets evenly between the two. That's where you're balanced there.
Yep.
So balance your props, guys.
Yep.
We talked about that. Okay, so the next,
And I guess we'll pop this open for this. So the hatch
well,
does
we want to show you how much room it has
come
in
keyed.
this baby, because I mean, these things today already set up for this stuff. It's just got all kinds of room to do this with.
So we'll cut the picture in right now so
Yeah,
I can see what we're
yeah.
talking about for a second.
I mean, here we go. The rod tubes were already installed from the factory. So all you have to do is basically what you're doing on the ailerons, you're doing on these. First, you mount both of your servos for your rudder and your elevator. You're going to mount your control horns back here on the back. You're going to mount your attachment here and make sure you have enough. In the old days this was important, today it's not as much, but what I usually do is make sure that horn is halfway between the threads so I have enough adjustment in and out. Don't just screw it on and quit. I usually make sure that, and another thing is the more threads in there, the tighter it is,
Right.
and the more threads, the stronger
What
it
he's
is.
talking about is the little clevis back there.
Yeah,
You
right
want to
here.
have it threaded onto the
Right here.
threads at least halfway.
Okay, so,
Then you have adjustment in and out if you need it.
and strength.
Right.
Okay, so what you do there is basically you come out here, you get your servo checker again, you put them in neutral, you put your rod through where you're going to attach it here, you make your mark, you slide it back out and make your bend and clip it on. Just
There
like,
you
I mean, easy peasy. And of course I used some tubing to make sure that the antennas are one way or
This is a trick you've done, well, not just there, but
well,
you didn't
back
do
in
it
the
on
old
here,
days
but-
when we had long antennas.
But down here, another trick he's done for all the time, and I don't know if we'll have to take another picture of this and cut it in, but when you get your control rod actually clipped in back here, take a piece of fuel tubing, a zip tie, whatever, wrap it around. Oh, it came with it.
It came with a kit.
There you go. Well,
I didn't have to go find it. I mean,
I guess they do it now.
do that for you.
oh, well,
I'm just
that rubber
telling you.
tubing though, they didn't used to come
No,
with that.
no,
you had to do that, and I guess they got smart
It
to
comes
everybody
with
doing it.
I mean, this is how good this is.
That's
It comes,
good.
I don't have
Okay.
to come to find nothing. But anyway, here we go. So we got the aileron.
Yeah,
we
and
ap that done.
You glued 2 pieces of tubing in here for the antennas of the antennas on the radio.
Yeah, the antenna for the receiver it has
I don't
two
Can you see
antenna wires, and
So it's not in the picture right now, but we'll
No.
get another picture snapped for where he did this.
But-
But it's nice because it keeps the 2 wires.
you
in a
want
90.
one wire to go one way and one wire to go the other.
Right.
So that way your radio is whatever direction it is. But anyway, and I'll
Okay.
show you the way I attach the back on where they are. That's just showing the whole installation of
Okay.
the motor. I gave you a nice shot of the motor and the fuse from the up angle. And guys, the ESC was beautiful to put in there. I mean, it mounts right to the bottom. There's no fishing things and hard, and I had to drill holes. I had to drill one hole for the servo lead to come up, the throttle lead from the ESC to make it just a little bit longer. I mean, it's not that big.
So the next picture, I mean, we can just show them here in my hand, but the next picture was you installing the little pretty bits. So this is glued on.
Yep.
These you elected, he tried to glue them at first.
No, well, it suggests to you to put those on the windscreens with canopy glue, which is not a bad idea. I mean, okay. I mean, if I like canopy glue, it glues clear and
But
you
it
can't
takes
even
forever
tell.
to dry.
Yeah. So, as many airplanes as we put together over the years, I got
Hey, sorry, we cut off or whatever. I don't know, or I'll hold it where I was.
So
Screws.
The screws is something that I have a lot of, and so I elect to do that. I like screws, and they're easy, and you can take them off.
Right, so if
Da-da-da.
it's like a Mustang or whatever,
yeah.
you can
do that
take
with a
this
full
off
canopy, yeah.
and put it
Yeah.
and get back in there to
If
change
you
it
look,
later.
if you look at a lot of our old videos on those P51s, a lot of them will have screws in them instead of.
And it does have a nice latch too to put this on and
Very
off. It's not
beautiful
magnetic,
latch.
it's got a latch.
Beautiful latch.
Goes up in here.
Yep.
And it's real simple to put it on. I'm in a weird angle, but you just kind of pull that forward and set it down in there and then push it back.
Well, we're pretty much the next step is putting the graphics on. And the next step would have been exactly what we did.
We never did tell you when to put the wheels on, but it's part of the wings.
I mean,
you're going to have to follow the manual, guys. We're just trying to give you a wrap up.
And that's one thing I want to say is this manual is very detailed. I followed the manual. I always look at it, no matter what I'm building. I look at the manual. I flip through it because manual is usually going to be correct as far as what to do next. So but
this one was really good.
I mean, okay, I mentioned I don't know how many.
Some of them are kind of.
Well, yeah.
But this one's pretty good.
I mean, look at it, pictures and everything. I mean, you don't get any better than that. So the next step we did was we bound the airplane.
We bound it. We did put it on the CG machine. We CG'd this to what? It was
it suggests between 2 3/4 and 3 3/4, and I think we did it at 3 inches.
3 inches from the leading edge, and we put it on the CG balance.
And guys always have you some. What we did was buy off of Amazon the tire weight
right over there too. We're going to run a 3200 4S, and I also have a 4000 4S that we're going to try in it. We did it on the DX, or not DX, that's the NX radio system. We're doing an NX6 on this one.
And it's going to fly for 5 minutes or 5 or 6 minutes.
And you had to put one full, I don't know what that actually comes out to, but.
I don't know.
It took one full.
I was going to show you that. But guys, these tire weights.
Took one full piece of tire weights, which is, these are quarter ounce each, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It took 12 quarter ounce pieces of tire weights up in the nose to get it to balance with that 3200
Normally
battery.
that wouldn't have had to do that much if you'd had a gas engine on it. But since we have electric engines, they wear it one. So,
they're lighter.
But this is a lot cheaper. You can buy these things from the model manufacturers, but
we will say that if you go on Amazon, you can buy these from the model manufacturers, but you can buy a big box of these for like $10 on Amazon.
So what I would say, and they cut apart, and they
got the double-sided stickies
pretty well. You want if nobody's ever told you when you mount the farther out, the least weight you have.
So what we did is we cut it into sections and gone around the front of the cowling,
just so it misses the motor. But
get those off of Amazon. Save you some money, guys.
You can, and if they go around and around in a circle at 100 miles an hour, I don't think they're going to come off of the cowl.
I've glued them in before to just make sure. If I know it's going to vibrate a lot,
take some epoxy, and I guarantee epoxy is a great thing.
But it did. It took one stick of this. So far, we haven't flown the airplane to hit the CG recommendations. Now, I normally like a little bit more nose heavy after we've flown it once, but I also have a 4,000 milliamp battery, and when we put that in here, it's going to push the nose weight forward a little bit. So right now we're going off the book, but if we need more, we'll let you know after the flight video, which is coming soon.
Now, last thing, how does this fly? We always say the proof is in the video, right? So we don't have a video at the time we're doing this, but I'm going to guess. The little plane was a primary trainer in World War II, but this will be a rocket.
It's going to be. It's going to fly like a fighter, though.
Oh yeah, full length ailerons.
Yeah.
It's going to be real responsive on the ailerons. It's going to be just like a warbird. It's probably going to have half the recommended throws in the rudder.
But I think this airplane's also going to land very slow. But I don't know. This is the fun part for me and him. I've never flown one. But looking at an airplane now, we can kind of guess.
But when it says PT19 trainer,
right.
It says sports scale. It doesn't say, but in World War II, this was a trainer. Right. But I don't believe this would be a trainer today.
I think this is going to fly like guys that have had a Chaos, something like that. It's going to remind me of that.
It's gonna remind you of a sport plane. Yeah. In the old days, a sporty airplane. It's not going to be an LT-40. It's going to be a hot. Depending on the prop and everything, it's going to be pretty hot.
But we'll find that out.
We'll find out and we'll show you that.
So
but that's
for now, wrap up here.
Yep, we're through.
What'd you think?
You know, guys, again, money-wise, it's good
Sub
price.
$200. And it fluctuates so much right now with airplane prices. Guys, if you want one, I'll have a link down to the Tower Hobby website. They may not be in stock right now. We are in the world of COVID at the time of filming this, and stock levels are like this on everything.
So price is good.
Yeah.
Construction is out of sight. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic as far as the paint, the finish, the covering, the instructions are detailed, and the parts and pieces you get is I throwed a lot of extra screws, and I didn't need them.
Right.
It came with the kit. So, and the graphics are beautiful. I can't say anything. If you like this airplane, I say go out and buy it.
And I want to throw this out here too. This airplane was not given to us. I did purchase this with my own money on this one. So this review, I mean, we're not Tower affiliates. So if you use that link in the description, we don't make anything off of it.
No.
This one is just because I wanted it, guys.
Well, and I've seen these in the past, and they're great flyers.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Wesley, I said, Wesley, man, these things are just.
This went on sale a few months ago, and I think it was like $120, and I was like, yes, let me have one. Same thing with the Phoenix Lysander. When it went on sale for like $110, I couldn't resist it.
I mean, it's a wood plane for $100.
If you're not signed up for the Tower newsletter that comes every month, guys, sign up for that, because they run these one-day specials from time to time, and there are some killer deals on these balsa planes in those one-day specials. So definitely sign up for that. It doesn't cost anything.
And if you like 40 size airplanes or 40, 60 size airplanes, man, these things are great.
And they have a Zero. They have
SBD.
An SBD Dauntless. I think the Dauntless is Phoenix and not Great Plains. I can't ever keep them all straight. You can go to the website and check it out. But yeah, they have an SBD Dauntless. They have the other high-wing thing. I can't remember.
But there's a lot of choices out there.
Yeah.
But
a Stuka.
Go out and buy one. I mean, I keep saying, guys, if you've never experienced balsa.
Yeah, just be knowing if you're coming from an E-flight plane, you are going to spend some more time putting this together. It's
But that's the fun of it.
I get it.
I mean, I understand if you're working 8 to 5 every day, you're going to probably spend maybe an hour. If I were to spend an hour on this a night, maybe 7 days.
Yeah, it's not nothing you can't do. I just want you to be aware.
I built it in 2, but I'm retired, and I didn't hit an 8-hour day. I
want to get out there that this Great Plains PT19 has been absolutely fantastic, and the quality was great, guys. So
well, and I can't think. It's probably been between the Phoenix and this airplane the most overall rounded. What you get out of the box and the instructions that put the best that I've seen. I mean, I've been doing them forever where you got a box of balsa, and I'm just telling you guys, if somebody rips these, I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know why. I mean, like I say, look at it.
Fantastic little airplane.
I mean, look at it. I didn't do anything to it.
Guys, if you did like this, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Keep out and look down wherever it comes up in your phone, but we're going to be flying it really shortly, so you'll be seeing that on the channel. If you liked this new format for the balsa planes, we're going to keep making these balsa airplanes. Let us know down in the description. I don't like it, I like it, keep doing these wrap-up videos. But that's what we're kind of thinking. Instead of doing full-blown assemblies, it's real easy on those E-flight planes and the other airplanes we've been doing lately where they just screw together with 4 screws. This takes several days to put together, and I don't want to slow him down. So I just say take pictures as you go, and we can do a wrap-up show. So if y'all like this, let us know. Leave comments down in the description. Keep watching our videos, and we're going to see you in the next episode.
Well, and like I say, guys, the foamies are great. But I like the balsa.
Yeah, I
really do. I mean, I like foamies. I like balsa. I mean, do them all.
Do them all. That's right. So get out there, fly with your friends, and we're going to see y'all in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Thanks for coming by.